Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today. We really want to know more about you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Gertrude. Thank you for having me here. My name is Danielle Jones, and I am in Tampa, Florida, originally from Texas. I am 34 years old, and my story is a bit crazy. We can start with I'm from Texas. I have lived in Texas most of my life. My dad was he was in the military, so we moved around a bit, but we still ended up back in Texas. Grew up the rest of my life in Texas, moved to North Carolina for a bit, and decided I wanted to come back. Fast forward, that is when I found a really great job. I finished school back in Texas, and then I actually ended up getting married. At that point, that's when we decided to move because then he was also in the military. And so we decided, he got stationed to California, San Diego, California, to be exact. It was beautiful. San Diego is such a beautiful place to live. There's all the hiking, biking, trails, the beach, and perfect weather 365 days of the year. So loved it, enjoyed it there. Within that time, being married, when you're married to someone in the military, you are apart a lot. During that, more than half of the time that we were there, we were apart. So that led to then him getting ready to get out of the military. Then we purchased a home in Arizona, out in Buckeye. It's right outside of Phoenix. Decided to move there, purchased a beautiful home, had a dog, with a pool in the back, all the things that, you're supposed to do. And with that, we kind of, during that time, he was gone on deployment. And during that time, we actually decided to divorce. And so that was just, it was very devastating after you purchase this home, you're doing all the perfect things that you think you're going down the right path. And it just didn't happen to be that. So at that point is when I decided to go out during our divorce time. I didn't have it mentally in me to decide where I wanted to live. And I was talking to one of my friends. All my friends were completely supportive, friends and family. I couldn't ask for anything more. And with that being said, one of my friends was like, why don't you go nomadic? I was like, nomadic? Like, what does that even entail? How do I do this? How do I do that? And so what I did it. I put everything else that I didn't sell in the home in storage. And I put my car even in storage in Arizona. And I booked a one-way flight to Houston, Texas. That was actually where I started my nomadic adventure. And I didn't even have a hotel booked that night. So as soon as I went to go drop my car off at the storage, I was like, hey, is there a hotel near here that you think I could stay at? And so I found a Marriott, stayed one night, got up early, caught my flight, and I began my nomadic adventure. What ended up being, I want to say 8 or 9 months. And it was absolutely amazing. I stayed with my friends. I got even closer with my friends that, you don't get to see as much. I got familiar with different cities in Texas and across the US, just deciding where I wanted to live. It's the first time I ever did something like this, or having this freedom to decide where I wanted to live. And I did it all in the South because I don't like the cold. So I ensured that I visited all the warm places to decide if that's where I wanted to be. And so, during that adventure, I had flown back to Arizona, and I fly back there often, to like switch out clothes, to do all the different things to get ready for the next place. And while I was there, I checked the weather. I was going to go back to Texas. Realized Texas was 30 degrees. I was like, not going back there. I have choices. I'm going somewhere warm. So I frantically found the cheapest Airbnb in a southern city, which happened to be Tampa, Florida. So came to Tampa and realized I had a cousin that stayed here. So I actually ended up visiting her while here. And during that time, I still had no idea. It had been 6 months. I still had no idea where I wanted to live. And so while we were here, I met a lady and she was like, you know what? You need to pray and ask for signs. So I did that. My first sign, I actually asked for someone to run into someone with my name. And it actually happened the very next day that I asked for that. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of too soon. I don't think that's not my real sign. And then a couple days later, the day before I was actually leaving Florida, I asked for another sign to see something different out of the ordinary, something I'd never seen. And that was the day, in the middle of the day, that I saw a fox. And generally, fox come out at night. I had also never seen a fox. I didn't think anything of it. And my cousin was like, no, that's your sign. So I went and looked up spiritual meaning of a fox that night once we got back home. I read a few articles. And the last article I read, the last sentence read, if you have seen a fox, please don't disregard it. This is a direct sign from God. And I was like, Florida? Like, I don't want to move to Florida. It's Florida. Like, you think of Florida man. And so I did it. I actually came back. That was in November. I flew out, finished my nomadic trips that I had already had planned. I came back in December, spent my birthday here, and brought in the new year here, found a place to stay. Left out, I hosted a retreat in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, that January, a new moon retreat full of women. I think it was almost 20 of us in Puerto Vallarta in a villa with a chef and a housemate. It was absolutely amazing. I can't wait to do retreats again. And then I moved to Florida. I moved in February of 2020. I had hardly anything. I only brought what could fit in my car up to the window because that's what the guy who was transporting my car here stated. That's all I had room for. So if it was above the window, if they got a ticket, I would be fined. So I had to have everything below the window. I flew Southwest here. So then I had my 2 checked bags and my 2 carry-ons, and that's it. And I slept on an air mattress. Now, if you remember 2020, which we all do, everything shut down. So 3 weeks after me moving to Florida, everything shut down. And let me tell you, I had such a good time those 3 weeks. I met some amazing friends. My cousin had me out and about, and we were just really enjoying life because we didn't understand what was about to happen to us. It was the true meaning of live your life like it's your last, because because you don't know what's going to happen next. And little did we know, COVID happened next, and it was just like event after event for everyone. So yes, I had a remote job at the time, so I was already working remote. I had been working remote probably about 2 years. That's why I was able to still be nomadic. And 3 weeks in, everything shut down, and I was a person that didn't have tissue and needed it. So I had to wait in line at Sam's for an hour, and I actually got tissue one of the days. So that's actually happened to me. After being here for 3 weeks, everything shutting down. I think that was February. By when May comes along, my job lays me off. And I was like, great. Of course, it's the best time to be laid off during a pandemic, all the assistance programs, all the things, but it's still not a thing that you want to do. And I just was like, wow, I was taken back, like the breath was knocked out of me. Like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do? And me being a certified nutritionist, I kind of just put myself in that business for a little bit. I created an ebook and sold recipe books and really just put myself out there in that way, as well as I was applying for jobs. Well, 3 weeks after that, I ended up getting another job, a full time job, and it was a great opportunity. I learned so much in that job. And it was actually based here in Tampa. We had a hybrid work schedule. Of course, when we started at home, and then we had a hybrid work schedule. Great company. Everything was great for me for the time. But a year in, I felt like there was no growth for me. I didn't see any opportunity. And I really believe in manifesting. I had a lot of things on my vision board at the time. And this wasn't it. This wasn't one of the things on my vision board. This wasn't the career path I wanted to go in. And so I had to kind of figure that out. And during the time, it was just a lot of praying, a lot of meditating, really trying to figure out what's next for me. And at that time, that is when someone slid in my DMs on LinkedIn for a job opportunity. It was very similar to what I was doing, and it had opportunity for growth. And so I took them up on the offer, had no idea about the company, looked up the company, and then realized that it was a great company. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like legit. Let me see. And so applied for this company, went through the hardest interview process I've probably ever been through, and I got the job. And it took me about 3 weeks to get the job. And I was just completely like, wow, this job was sent to me. The income bracket that it was, they offered me it was like a $10,000 income bracket, and I was actually at the very top of the income bracket, and I just couldn't believe that they offered that to me. And I knew that I had manifested that for myself, and it was just beautiful. In the meantime, I did also forget to mention that in May, while I all these things, this is 2020. So all these things were happening. This actually happened into 2021 is when I decided. This was a year into the other job. 2021, the May of 2021 that I forgot to mention was my grandmother passed. And that was a big devastation for my family. She was the matriarch of the family. She held everything together, everyone together. And it was just a huge blow. For some reason, I was able to still move on, although I was really, really sad. Because my grandmother had been around ever since I was little. She babysat me. I never had to go to a babysitter. I was always either with my grandmother or my great grandmother. And it just was, we just had a very special relationship. We talked, we were actually getting ready to invest together. And so when this happened, it was such a very, it was unfortunate event. But for some reason, I still have this happiness and this joy. And part of me was like, this is what she would want me to do. She would want me to move forward. She would want me to do these things. And so that was in May. And in July is when I actually got the job offer. Someone found me, slid in my DMs on LinkedIn. And it was just an absolutely very much manifestation because I had not applied. I hadn't even begun applying. I just put it out there that I wanted a new job. And so that actually, it just ended up being a true manifestation of what I wanted. Got the job, got in training. 2 weeks into my training, 4 months after my grandmother had passed, it was like 4 months and 8 days, I got a call on my mom's birthday. And I actually had text her, happy birthday. I got a call and it was my mom was not responding. She was not responsive. And I was like, okay, call me, when you get to the hospital. Mind you, I just started my job 2 weeks ago and I'm in training. And I get a call back and that was it. It was like, Danielle, she's gone. My sister called. And that was a huge devastation. My mom was my absolute everything. So to experience that right after my grandmother, right after I just have felt literally the happiest that I have ever felt in life. And I literally had done a post on it on social media. Literally, I think that was 2 days before my mom passed. And once she transitioned on, it was just a huge, like someone hit me in the stomach. And it was just me just trying to figure it out, me just being able to get out of bed, me having to figure things out and work still. I still need to work. I still need to support myself and take care of myself. And I still have this nutrition business where I'm helping women get healthy. And I'm going in the exact opposite direction. And so it really was a true test of what I had been coaching. Now I had to coach myself. And since then, it's almost been a year since my mom transitioned, and so much has changed. Am I the most happiest I've ever been? No. Will I get that happy again? Absolutely. Grief is such a journey, and I've learned so much about myself during this time. I've learned to trust. I have to trust myself now and not call my mom for advice. I have to trust the process and trust the universe. And I've never had to be this trusting in myself or just in things that will happen. You just know they're going to work out for you. And so everything that I have coached and have been coached on and have been, practicing, I'm actually putting into practice now.
Oh my gosh. Your story is amazing. These last 2, 3 years have been extremely challenging for most of us. Like you, I lost my mom in 2020 as well. Haven't even gone back to Zimbabwe to see where she's buried because of COVID. So I'm going in August. And a lot of women, a lot of people are struggling with all of this change. If you could go back and give yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom, advice, when you were in the middle of all of this, losing your grandmother, losing your mom, the upheaval with your marriage, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give another woman who's in a similar position right now?
The first thing I would say is grace. Give yourself the grace. There's no right or wrong way to go through it, would be the second thing. But definitely you need the grace so that you're not so hard on yourself. I'm very ambitious and I'm very driven. So the grace part was really hard for me. And so grace, I say that. Two, again, the second thing is there's no right or wrong way. So don't feel like it has to be a certain way. I'm a Southern woman. And so you feel like, you have these Southern values and you have to live a specific way and things are supposed to be done a specific way. And it's just not. And three would be definitely everything is working out for you and it always will. That would be the third thing. And just continue to tell yourself that and coach yourself that in every day, because you're going to have those moments where you're just down and out. And if you can just tell yourself that everything is going to work out, it always does.
I love that. I can see that you are a law of attraction student. I am too. I get signs from the universe. I am guided as to where I'm supposed to go, how I'm supposed to do things. Some people don't really understand the law of attraction. You talked about your vision board. I used to have a vision board. I used to map out everything I wanted to try and do. Let's talk a little bit about that, because it is a fascinating way to live, knowing that the universe has your back. Tell us a bit about the law of attraction and how you've used it.
Yes, I absolutely do. Actually, my vision board is right behind this laptop, so I look at it every day. But the law of attraction is definitely something, again, it's trusting the universe, it's trusting the process, and knowing that I'm putting it out there. My words are powerful, and this is what I'm going to do, and programming my subconscious mind to, hey, this is what I want, and we're working together to make it happen. That's actually been the best thing that has helped me through so many obstacles, because it allows me to realize that what I'm in right now isn't permanent. It's always going to be ever changing. We are always going to evolve. And our life is going to be very much like a roller coaster. It's going to go up and down, but it always, always works out the way it's supposed to and for our good, or better than what we could ever imagine.
Yeah, life is a roller coaster. I mean, they say that the only constant in life is change, that everything is changing all the time. And once you accept that as part of the rhythm of life, it becomes easy to go with the flow of things. Now you're this nomadic being going from place to place, living your life, making a living online. What has that experience taught you? Because a lot of people are stuck in places. They're too fearful to go out into the world. Give us some advice on how to be a digital nomad and what it's done for your life.
The best thing it's done for me is to be able to go with the flow and don't have any expectations. Really just put it out there. What do you want to do? And just do it. When you are so uncomfortable, they always say get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what the nomadic life is. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're somewhere where you've never been. So a lot of places that I would stay, I would put myself somewhere where it was walkable. And I would walk to a local coffee shop. If there was a local one there, I would walk to the Starbucks and literally just put myself in very, uncomfortable situations. I was doing this by myself. So I was doing solo travel kind of in the same thing. So the thing is, just get uncomfortable. There's people, when you meet people, it's not as scary as you think. No one knows that you're alone. No one knows that you're nomadic. And you just have these great organic experiences. Some people that I've talked to for hours just because I walked into a store, a different, unique store. So it's definitely something not to be afraid of. If you're afraid to try it, in your country first. Go away for a few hours away, take a road trip and do it by yourself. And when you put yourself in those situations and you're open to whatever life has for you, you just learn so much about yourself and so much about other people. It's such a good experience.
It is truly a very liberating way to live. Well, this has been an absolute honor interviewing you today. Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for living life to the full. I'm pretty sure your mother and your grandmother would be so proud of how you're living your life and just getting on with it, right? By you living fully, you're celebrating their lives. Thank you so much, Danielle. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story movement is attracting some pretty phenomenal women. Come back again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a great day wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thank you again, Danielle.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. This has been great.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her